My name's Benji Biddle, and I want at least half the progressives to go over there, because if a bomb falls in this building, our agenda is done, people. I'm thrilled to be emceeing for tonight's event for David Bowe. He is a man who wears many hats, literally. You're going to hear a lot about the hats he wears as small businessman, husband and father, politician, I could go on and on, musician and singer. He is truly a Renaissance man. We don't talk very much about the importance of liberal arts education in this country anymore, but he's a product of a good liberal arts education. So thank you for coming out to support him. I want to thank our musicians who are just performing from Future Sound Rebels, Mary Lynn's group, who are amazing. Thank you, Mary. Barley Wine Review and the Dead Reckoning Singers. So first up, I want to introduce you to someone who's been a friend of mine for a few years now, John Hall. John is the president of Corum Automotive Group, and he was formerly the CEO of Rainier Pacific Bank. And John's going to say a few words about our friend David Bowe. I turn it over to you, John.
Thanks there, Benji. I don't know if I can get this all situated, but can you hear me okay? Yeah. Just kind of talk loud. I'm not much of a speech maker, and when David said, will you mind saying a few remarks, I said, fine, 5 minutes, and I said, well, how about 3? So I'll try to be brief. There probably isn't a lot that you don't know about David as I know about David, relative to David as a person. And the ethics that our committee that reviews ethics in the city has confirmed, a man of integrity, a man of honesty. So I think you know the character of David, you know the values in which he operates under and guides him. But the comments I wanted to make were really more regarding, why an architect, a person of that trade, actually is equivalent to a quality city council member. I think there's some textbook definitions around what is an architect, somebody who builds things. Well, clearly David is very capable of doing his part as a council member to build a great city in the city of Tacoma, and we need to give him the time in the future to continue that effort that he's already started. I think when I think of an architect, I think of 3 primary characteristics. One is a great listener, another is an interpreter, and lastly is a person who's got forward-thinking mindset to them. All of those characteristics, I think, are embodied in David and how he works and how he actually plays too. My background, I've known David for about 10 years, so maybe many of you have known him for much longer than that. But in the 10 years that I've known him, I got to say that those characteristics of him as an architect really parlay to the benefit of us as citizens in the city of Tacoma. He not only designed and built a building for the company I used to work for, as Benji indicated, Rainier Pacific Bank, our building down on the corner of 15th and Pacific, but he also built the home in which my wife Sophia, who was at the front desk tonight, thank you for helping David's campaign tonight, Sophia. The house that holds Sophia and I, along with our six children. So it's a pretty good sized home, David. Thank you for your creative spirit in designing that for us. But going back to this issue about listener, I think an architect has to listen to their clients to really understand what it is they want. And in that listening, the interpretive part comes from having to take oftentimes expressions or interpretations or desires and converting them into facts that can be dealt with. David's work as a council member is often involving that. When he hears the citizenry talk about things, they're usually talking about passions and issues that they have, but he does a great job in inquiry, again, his listening and asking questions with our city staff. If any of you have ever been to a city council meeting, you know what I'm talking about. When he's there asking questions around how come the sewer extension was 300 feet longer, and why wasn't the contract able to support us for having to pay additional money, those types of things. He also is a great forward thinker too. The city has dealt with this issue of sustainability in the city buildings. It's probably a pretty controversial thing for an architect to get involved in a debate at city chambers regarding the sustainability of buildings. But David actually takes that on in a very practical way and doesn't provide lip service to it. And so he's keenly aware and also asks for more information. So I think we all know that by supporting David, we're going to have a great and quality city council member who brings his skill set as an architect into those council chambers to help us make better decisions as a city and to create a vision for something we want as a citizenry, much as you would as a person building a house or a person building a building. So We thank you, David, for what you've done so far. We thank you for standing the test of challenge that you have and from standing through that. There was a time personally when he was counting his days actually down as to how long he would have to be on there. I felt a little bad because when he first was considering doing this and throwing his name in the hat for consideration of filling that voided council seat, I encouraged him. That's stupid me, but he took it. So you're a great guy. But he's no longer counting the days. The last few times I've seen him, he's ready to go. So let's give him our best and let's support him in doing the work that we need that's so vitally important to us as a city and giving him our financial and our personal support. So thank you, David.
Well, as you know, it takes a whole community, a room like this, to help move a community forward. And I want to recognize a lot of the former and current elected officials who are here tonight to support David and helping move his agenda forward in the future. John Ladenburg, I saw come in over there. Mark Lindquist, our vertically challenged prosecutor. Eric Hanberg from Metro Parks. Mayor Emeritus Bill Barsma, dancing sprightly jig earlier. Former Mayor Karen Vial. Where are you, Karen? There you are. Lovely to see you. Karen Smitherman's running for District 1 seat. Former Tacoma City Council member Bill Evans, I saw, representing small business as ever in the next room. Eric Chenier was here earlier from the UP City Council, and of course David Bowe. And his colleagues are here from the City Council in force. So rather than go through one by one, I'm going to let them speak for themselves. Marty Campbell, Jake Fye, Ryan Mello, Victoria Woodard, Lauren Walker, come on up here and say a few words if you're so moved.
I'll start because I don't want to follow either one of these speakers. When David asked us to come out and speak, I said, well, what do you want us to talk about? He says, get up there and speak about why you voted for me. Of course, my first question was, did I vote for you? I went back, checked the minutes. Yes, I voted for you, David. Actually, you were unanimously picked to be on City Council. So there's 7 people in the city of Tacoma that have voted for David. Tonight I encourage you to join us. I brought a prop. Hold on. This is one of the big reasons why I voted for David Bowe. This is entitled Comprehensive Plan and Land Use Regulatory Code Proposed Amendments, Volume 1. Read a little passage that which is, Level 1 remodels and additions shall include all remodels and/or additions within a 2-year period of cumulative value of less than 60% of the existing building value determined by applicable building code. That's what that's all about. David understands this. He employs this. And he helps the rest of us understand it, which is his real value on City Council. There's several values on City Council, but it's an important one to me. His support of the arts, being a small business owner. I wrote down some words to describe him: intelligent, creative, hardworking, funny, even handsome. And I realized it sounds like I wanted to date him. So instead, I just wanted to get up here and say, I've had the honor of voting for David Bowe. Join us in that. Vote Bowe.
It's great to be here, David. I have some remarks from the mayor, and then I have some remarks of my own. Mayor Strickland says, I'm proud to join the tens of thousands of citizens who enthusiastically support David Bowe for the Tacoma City Council. In January 2010, the Tacoma City Council made the wise decision to appoint David Bowe to fill a vacant seat. It was one of the smartest decisions we made. I am proud of our current council, the depth of knowledge we have, and the diversity of our background and voices. As we move forward to implement our agenda, it is important to keep this strong team together. David's expertise, knowledge, and passion for our city is needed on our council. He is a man of honor and integrity, and I am proud to endorse his candidacy. Mayor Marilyn Strickland. What I'd like to add, just to be brief, is that the citizens often forget forget that public officials are human beings. And what I'd like to say about David that I think gives him great credibility as an elected official and makes it wonderful to serve with him. Try not to cry. He loves his family. He helps his wife with her work. He rides his bike, and he's a performing artist. And that means a lot to our city council. Thank you.
We are arguing over who's going to go next. Because we all want to fight over taking credit for getting David Bowe on the city council. But as you know, it was unanimous. Wow, Doug. As you know, it was unanimous vote. Now, when David asked me to say something, he said all I got was one sentence. Marty got a prompt and extra time. So I'm going to do the I don't have a prop, but I am going to take more than a sentence to tell you why I voted for David Bowe and why I want to encourage you to vote for David Bowe. The mayor often talks about the city council being a football team and how in a football team everybody has to play their position. And how you can't have only quarterbacks or only tight ends, or those are about the only two positions I know on a football team. But that it really takes a mix of everybody to make a football team win. And what we have in David is somebody who's not only intelligent and articulate, but I often use the term somebody who walks the talk. Because a lot of us talk, but there aren't a lot of us who are always willing to step up and actually walk in the shoes to get something done. And David Bowe does that for you every single day on the city council. David is not influenced by outside forces. He really comes to the council with his whole heart intact, and he serves in that way. And that's why I voted for him. Now, I encourage you to vote for him because that's what we need on the city council. His expertise as an architect is really, really important. His land use positions and the things that he knows are things I could never understand. But I depend on David. Plus, I get to sit next to him every Tuesday night, so we have a blast. So I want to make sure that all of you send David back. David, you've got the key.
I got the key.
You got the key. And so now you have to run as fast as you can to the finish line, and we have to deliver David Bowe to the City Council in November of 2011. Thank you.
Somebody handed me a note during the time we were looking at appointing people to the City Council. I won't identify that person, but that person's here tonight. And they gave me two names. And I was already kind of there on those two names, but I didn't know David Bowe as much as I know Ryan Mello. But what I do know about David now, after serving a year plus, is that he is about Tacoma's future. He is the kind of person that you want to have thinking about how things could be, and reminding us that we don't have to settle for what exists, that we can imagine and dream and hope that we can put the resources together to make this the great place that it already is, but expand upon it. That's why I was proud to be the first person to give David Bowe a check. And I think I was out there by myself literally for 6-7 weeks. It was, where do you get that money? So, David, the other part I want to say about that, I think many of you that know him personally, I think is essential to being a good elected official, and that is being fearless and making the best decision for the community, and not to get sucked up into groupthink, but to do what you actually think is the right thing to do for the community's future. And David exemplifies that, and I'm proud to be up here and supporting you for election. Good luck.
So I'm just curious, because I go to a lot of these events, and the crowds are always very different. But what I'm really noticing tonight is how many small business owners there are out there. If you're a small business owner, would you raise your hand? Just like you run the economy in this country, you are running this campaign. So I want you all to pledge that small business is going to be actively engaged in electing David Bowe, because he is your voice on the city council, in addition to all the fine people that just spoke. There's also a ton of arts and culture and history and heritage people in the room, and I want to acknowledge all of you and thank you for the work you're doing. It isn't always easy or glamorous, especially in this economy, but we have a group of supportive city council members that are keeping the arts and culture alive in this community, and I'm very grateful for all the work you all are doing as well. Probably the hardest part of this job was thinking about what I wanted to say to introduce you to David Bowe, because many of you probably know him as well or better than I do. But in addition to his real courage on the city council, his visioning around Imagine Tacoma, the incredible blog that's won awards and really provoked a lot of conversation and good thinking about what's possible in Tacoma, I realized the reason I support David personally is that he cares not only about what happens in Tacoma, but how it happens in Tacoma. He deeply is committed to issues like equity in city contracting. He deeply cares not just that things are getting built, but what they look like. He cares about issues of density. He cares about a beautiful city. He cares about a gracious city. He cares about creating a culture of yes, where small businesses can really prosper. And that affects all of us in this room, and it will be his legacy after he leaves a very active, engaged, and successful run on the city council. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming my friend David Bowe.
Watch as my fingers never leave my hand. Oh, rebels. All right. Thank you very much for coming. Wow. I see lots of friends, so that means a lot. Why am I running for city council? As has been noted, I think it was 2 months, 9 days, and about 18 hours into my tenure. It didn't look like a promising start. And one of the things that I didn't expect, in the city council, and I think, I see Bill Evans here, Bill Barsma, and Mayor Vial, is that it takes a group of council members to make things happen. You can be the most brilliant person. I know, I was committed to these brilliant ideas. And just they're out, in the hinterland, because one voice, I may be a bully pulpit, it really doesn't mean as much as when you work with your fellow council members. And it was an unexpected enjoyment of working with 8 other really smart, active, engaged council members. And as that process, about 6 months into it, it was like, this is actually fun. And actually looking at where battles are. Some were not won, regarding surface parking lots downtown. But the discussion always was very civil. This discussion was always on point. We agree, we can disagree, and to me that's what politics is about. But of course, I also had to, and I switched coats here, but in my other coat, I have a permission slip from Sandra, my wife of almost 29 years in 2 weeks. It'll be 29 years. And because it really does take a lot from your family, and you council members and mayors, you know that. And really to have her support, and Ben and Alia, 2 seniors who are going away, with our blessing. And really, that's one of the things I really think as one of the issues that we did not do well in the city was how we dealt with the Russell Company. Yeah. And I think what we needed to do on that October day was have the biggest street party Tacoma has ever seen. Yeah. To thank a company that started here, that when no one else was investing downtown, they built a Class A office building actually were here involved in the arts, involved in all these organizations. And we should have put them on this roster list of all of these companies that started here, grew here, and just like the kids who are going off, you know, they got to a point where they needed to leave Tacoma, and we should have celebrated that. And I think that's how I think we need to position ourselves. And Tacoma needs to be the city of entrepreneurs, of where businesses are started. I mean, you look at all these scrappy little places that start up, being an Amocat or a Stink, or, I mean, I could go on, Satellite Coffee, I mean, we can go on and on and on. And those, to me, that's what Tacoma is about. This building is what Tacoma is about. The Rebels is what Tacoma is about. So, with not further ado, I'm going to hand over to another candidate who has my full support to do the ask. I know a lot of you know that's coming. And someone I've booked for my memorial service because he is so articulate, and those of you who know, who actually watch Channel 12, I always try to buzz in before Ryan Miller because he always asks the question I wanted to ask in a much more articulate way. And so, you know, I don't know he's buzzed in before I have, and then, you know, I know he's ready to kick me off. But thank you so much. Thank you, all of you in the cheap seats and those in the prime seats. Thank you so much for coming. The last thing I can say is you want a politician that has sound judgment. That's really what you want. And this event was planned to be outside. And a week ago, the forecast said it was going to be 71 degrees and sunny. And so we were going to put, you know, the Bluegrass Band, Barley Wine Review, who did a great job. Under a little tent, you know, in the rain, and but it was going to be sunny. And yesterday, I made the tough call. I made the call with Erla, with the Foss Waterway Seaport. I said, we're moving it inside. So that's the kind of sound judgment you need from politicians. It's not about me, it's about you. So, without further ado, Ryan Miller, my friend and colleague.
Rock on. Who loves David Bowe? He's amazing, amazing. I'm so glad that all of us are here to support David Bowe and kick him off to victory together. I wasn't able to be a part of the flash mob earlier because he got a unanimous 7 votes. I only got 5 votes, so wasn't honored there. I'm really honored to be here to ask all of you to make sure that David Bowe has the resources to be victorious and successful this November, and to make sure that he and Sandra are able to do this smoothly and successfully, and that's all of us are going to be able to pitch in together to make sure that this is a big team, big family effort. It's not David and Sandra doing this by themselves. This is all of us. Many hands make much easier work, and we mean that very sincerely. And so it's going to take all of us to get this done. And I'm going to share a couple of reasons about how you can and why we should. So, in order to sort of grease the skids here and make sure that you feel energetic to get an envelope out and get your credit card out and a pen out, prepared 6 brief reasons why you should generously give to David Bowe. Are you ready for the top 6 reasons? Do you have a drum roll, David? So we have 6 reasons to generously give to Bowe. So give Bowe, right? He practices these sayings on the 12th floor all the time. You should see him, it's a riot. These are not his though, but he's just a hoot. So the first reason you should generously give to David Bowe is, I ask you, what is it worth it for you to live in a vibrant, attractive, lively downtown and lively, vibrant neighborhoods? Is it worth $100? Is it worth $250? Is it worth $100 a month for you to have a nightlife, restaurants in your neighborhood, a grocery store in your neighborhood, walkable streets. I think it's worth $100 a month to have that kind of vibrancy and attractiveness in our neighborhoods. So that's reason number one. David Bowe is really serious about promoting density, about knowing his stuff, and advocating for smart growth, attractive growth, and responsible growth. Reason number two to give generously to David Bowe, I think that every city council in Puget Sound deserves someone as dapper and as good looking as David Bowe. Right? The jacket, the haircut, the goatee, the man's just dapper. He's fun, he's good looking, he's got a great personality, he keeps you in stitches, as you know. Everyone, every policy-making body deserves someone as dapper as David Bowe. So, reason number three why to fund Bowe. Fund Bowe because then you don't have to sit in the laborious meetings we have to sit in every week. Right? You have all these committee meetings, these public hearings, these public forums that go on forever and a day, city council meetings. Is that worth $250 tonight? So this guy's going to do it for the next 4 years for you. That's going to be worth $250. Easy. Very more. Reason number four why you should fund Bowe. Marty Campbell already said it. You don't have to read these 4-inch thick binders of information. He'll do it for you. And he'll understand it. So you don't have to do this very glorious reading every night. You get to read whatever you want to read. You don't got to do it. He'll do it and he'll understand it. Reason number five why we should fund Bowe tonight. Quite simply, it's been said earlier tonight, Bowe knows Tacoma. Bowe knows how to put Tacoma on a path to prosperity. Bowe always stands up for what is right, no matter what. He asks the tough questions every single week, even if it's not politically expedient. And he's in the job to do by the citizens of Tacoma and nobody else. And he lives his integrity and lives his honor every single week. And it's really an honor to serve with him. Reason number six, the final reason why to fund Bowe generously tonight, so that all of us can have a summer. So the more we give tonight, the more we raise tonight, the more we'll scare out any candidate from running against Bowe, which means all of us will get to have a summer. It means we won't have to be knocking on doors as hard for Bowe. He won't have to ask for us for very much more money during the summer. We won't have to be making phone calls for him. We won't be standing on street corners, waving at cars. If we give generously tonight and we raise as much money for the next month, and he has a big war chest, that's what's going to scare people out of this race. That's what's going to give him the resources to be successful on election day, and that means all of us get a summer. I think that's a great reason to raise him a summer. So with all seriousness, I really need to ask everyone, if you've already done so, thank you so much for writing a check or giving your credit card when you came in. If you've done that, thank you. I'm going to seriously ask you to consider writing another one, because we need to build this man's war chest in the next month. If you haven't, and you're going to give me the excuse that you got to talk to your partner, or you got to talk to somebody at home before you give, I ask you to give $100 now, and then you can ask for forgiveness later, and give another $100 after you talk to whoever you need to talk to at home. Please don't use the excuse that you got to talk to somebody else. We need to build David's war chest. He has a lot of bills to pay. This is the only way he can be successful, and unfortunately or fortunately, literally has tens of thousands of people to communicate with, and it takes money to communicate with tens of thousands of voters. So before you leave tonight, I ask you to get out your credit card. I ask you to write as generous as a gift as you possibly can. We have people with hats around with these envelopes, and you get a fun pin that you get to wear on your jacket if you help fund Bowe. Thank you very much, and thank you for supporting my good friend David Bowe.
So I know all of you stayed at home to watch the royal wedding, and we're watching all of the new titles that got bestowed upon the prince. So when I was thinking about what do I say to thank Ryan, I came up with a really great new honorific for him, the Prince of Potholes. The jobs
that's him.
whisperer,
That's
that is
him,
you.
yeah.
So if you have a pothole, you can call the hotline. That's Mr. Mello. That's his issue. So thank you all so much for coming out. Don't forget the people with hats, drop your checks. If you have a question and genuinely want to talk to David about an issue, he is right up front and will tell you what he thinks and answer all of your questions directly. And thank you all so much for coming out. Thank you, Erla, for this gorgeous venue. Thank you for all the hospitality of everybody that's provided food, music, entertainment, and given so generously. We are going to win this campaign, and I appreciate you being here tonight to make it happen. Thank you.